Hello guys, this is Daniel and today we're going to continue with our little Hello World contract here. In the previous video, we did some changes to our very basic smart contract which had only a hard-coded value, and the changes were to let the smart contract take parameters upon initiation that allow us to actually set what the greeting should be. So it was not hard-coded in the contract itself, it was something that was defined upon deployment. But how about we need to change those values later on after the contract is deployed? And even better, how about we charge people for the privilege of changing that greeting? So that's what we are going to do today. And for that, we need to do a little bit of refactoring here. First, in our variables. So we are going to introduce two new variables, and we are going to introduce a variable greeting, which is going to be a string of length 79, and you will see why. And then we're going to have another variable here that's going to be called friend. And friend is going to be also a string of length 20. And then the greet friend, it's the public string that we have here that is going to be the same that we have had all the time. Now we have to refactor our constructor, and for that we are going to do it in the following way. We are going to, instead of just concatenate the parameters here, we are going to assign those parameters to the global function. So we have to call them with self greeting equal greeting, and we are going to call the self friend equal friend. And now that we have those two properly set to the values of these ones, we change our concatenation here. This self greet friend is not going to be working with the local variables. It's going to be taking these parameters, taking the other global variables here. So it's going to be self greeting, comma, and we do self friend. So those are the changes that we need for our constructor. Now we need to have other two variables here that we are going to set up right now. We're going to call this one external, and we are going to call it def get or set, better say, set greeting. And this set greeting is going to take a parameter which is going to be greeting, as defined in the previous function. Is going to be a string of 79 of length, and this one is going to just do the following. Is gonna assign the self that greeting that we have here to the greeting that is defined, and then is going to reassign the concatenation result of that resetted greeting plus the friend that is in memory. And for changing the friend, we are going to also have another function here, which is also going to be external. We're going to call it set friend, and that one is going to be a friend, and we are going to call it a string of length 20. And we are going to leave it there, and we are going to have some we have to put another line to begin with, and we have to do the def. So now that we have that one defined, it's basically the same as the previous one, but it's going to be working with friend. Now that's the way it works. Now let's say that we want to run our contract right now. So we're going to the Brownie console. And now that we have it there, we're going to deploy it as well as we did before. We're going to do exactly the same greeting that we have before. What's up, pal? From accounts 0. We get our response, and then let's check it out. We check the value of greet friend right now, and should be what's up, Paul. But right now we're gonna change it to another value. So we're going to call this one hello world, and we're going to change the greeting. So we're going to call set greeting, and we are going to send the new greeting is going to be hello, and we are going to pass the following parameters. We're going to pass the transaction here. So the from is going to be the same, is going to be from account 0 again. And this is the only thing that we need. We close our parentheses, and this should change the greeting. And it has no attribute set greeting because most likely we didn't save it. So let's just go exit. Let's properly save our contract. Let's do Brownie console again. We got everything compiled. So we are going to do the deployment first. So we deploy with the same values that we had before. Now we are going to call it hello world greet friend. We have it with Paul. Now we do our set greeting with hello. We got our transaction back, so that means that this worked. And let's call greet friend, and right now it's calling hello Paul because we had the same friend there. And we could change the friend with another set greeting, but instead of set greeting we're going to call set friend, and we're going to call this friend Daniel right now, and it's the same. We're going to call it from the same account. We get our transaction back, and now we can call greet friend again, and then we have changed both the greeting and the friend. Now, to make it interesting, and this is the last part of our video today, let's say that changing the friend is something that anyone can do for free. But for changing the greeting, here we want to charge. So we are going to add something, and this is something that in Solidity we call modifiers, but here in Vyper we call it assert. And these are assertions that we commonly use for testing, but we are going to use it here for asserting that certain condition is happening, and if it is not happening, the transaction is going to revert and is not going to work. So we're going to do message value, and the message object is basically referring to the parameters that are sent within the transaction in that dictionary that we create with the curly brackets whenever we deploy the contract or when we call a function. So we will have access to this message value from the value that is submitted in that curly bracket parameters that we sent, and we're going to assert that this message value has to be equal to 1 ether. And from the previous series we know that the network works in ways, so that will be 10 to the 18th way, that's 1 ether. So we have that there, but we are forgetting something, and it's the type of the function for allowing the function to receive or manage payments and transactions. For that we need to make this function payable. We save it, and then this should make that this function, when it's called, will allow us to have a value submitted along with the function call. This assert will check that that value is equal to certain amount. If it is, it will continue executing, but if it is not, it's gonna fail. And let's test it right now. So let's first save, and then let's call Brownie console. Let's deploy our contract again. So we're going to deploy as we have been doing it with what's up Paul. Now that we have deployed, we can call the value of the greet friend variable, and it's still what's up Paul. And then we are going to try to change the greeting. So for that, remember that we have to call the set greeting function that we have here, and we are going to do it with, we're going to change it to Are you all right? And we're going to send it. And it's reverted because there is an assertion here that didn't pass, that we know what it was. Is because this one cost 1 ether to run. So we're going to submit it again, but we are going to set a value of 1 ether. We submit our transaction again. This time it passed, and we can check the greet friend, and it's asking, are you right, Paul? And the other function that we have, which is set friend, we set it, we allow it to remain free. So let's set it to Daniel again. And let's call the value of our greet friend again. Are you all right, Daniel? And yes, I'm all right, because we completed the basic functionality that we need to know to build a very basic smart contracts in Vyper with our lesson today. So thank you guys for following up this series, and hope that you have as much fun as we do. Thank you very much. This is Daniel. Smash that like and follow the Morales channel.